It's Friday, July the 10th. My name is Pam, and welcome to the reading of the Mansfield News Journal. We begin today's reading with the area deaths. David McQuaid's new life in heaven began Tuesday evening, July 7th. Friends may call Sunday, July the 12th, from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Lexington Avenue Snyder Funeral Home. The funeral service, giving glory to God for the life of David McQuaid, will be held at 11 a.m. at Berean Baptist Church. Family would like guests to be comfortable either wearing a mask or not. Harold Dave Stanhope Jr., 76 of Bucyrus, died July 7th at his residence. Visitation for Dave will be held Friday, July 10th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Wise Funeral Service. A private graveside funeral with military rites by the Bucyrus Veterans Military Funeral Detail will be held at Crawford County Memory Gardens. Well, that concludes the Friday Mansfield News Journal area death notices. Now, for our first article. Representative Balderson fighting proposed Air Force cuts by Monroe Trombley. Congressman Troy Balderson, Republican, Ohio, joined a bipartisan group of lawmakers in calling for the U.S. Air Force to provide a long-term fleet management plan for C-130 aircraft, saying a proposed reduction of the aircraft within Air National Guard units could jeopardize missions conducted by the 179th Airlift Wing at Mansfield-Lom Regional Airport. Balderson, whose 12th congressional district includes Mansfield, signed a letter Tuesday in which lawmakers urged the House Armed Services Committee to require the Air Force to provide what they refer to as data-driven reasoning for a smaller C-130 fleet. We urge caution as the Air Force appears to continue its reduction of Air National Guard units before adequately explaining its long-term plan for the C-130 fleet, lawmakers wrote. The committee unanimously approved its version of the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA, last week, but amendments to the policy bill can still be introduced. A spokesperson with Balderson's office told the News Journal, cutting back the 179th aircraft fleet would deliver a devastating blow to its critical mission and capabilities, Balderson said in a news release. Before potentially impacting this unit and the dedicated men and women who serve it, we need answers as to the logic and sustainable strategy behind these decisions. According to the letter signed by 5 other lawmakers, the Air Force has proposed to reduce the C-130 fleet from 300 to 287 in fiscal year 2021. All 13 aircraft would come from Air National Guard units. The 179th Airlift Wing uses the C-130H, or Hercules, to perform tactical airlift operations and provide support for disaster response and aeromedical missions, while 8 older H models would be recapitalized with 8 newer J models. 5 different ANG units would divest a backup inventory aircraft, the letter states. This is unsustainable, the lawmakers wrote. Units have already been reduced from a dozen aircrafts to 7 primary aircrafts with 1 backup inventory aircraft. The Air Force proposed to continue a reduction in units by stripping the BAI away. Despite the units relying on that BAI, or backup inventory aircraft, to generate sorties necessary to maintain combat proficiency. Colonel Todd K. Thomas, commander of the 179th Airlift Wing, provided a statement in response to a request for comment. The 179th Airlift Wing is a proven combat unit that continually demonstrates a superior level of tactical airlift capability during contingencies, domestic operations, and in supporting the state of Ohio, he said. The number 1 priority of our wing is our laser beam focus on our combat readiness with respect to our airmen, C-130 aircraft, and our tactical airlift mission. I feel strongly that the 179th AW's tactical airlift capabilities and what we bring to the fight is critical to the total force of our airmen, and they are poised to continue that mission for years to come. It's the Mansfield way. Well, this next article is City Law Director apologizes for blasting Trumpsters. by Monroe Trombley. The city's law director has come under fire for warning members of the Charter Review Commission that reducing the number of signatures required to run for the board would invite more Republicans to get involved, prompting a scathing rebuke from the chair of the county GOP party. John Spahn, a Democrat who was elected without opposition to a third and final four-year term last year, appeared to suggest Tuesday that having additional Republicans on the city's Charter Review Commission would jeopardize the passage of certain issues, before going on to say that he has no sympathy for Republicans, Trumpsters, and the alt-right. A lot of them are not investing in being fair to all members of our community, particularly African Americans and Brown Americans, Spahn said. His comments came Tuesday during a commission meeting that was streamed live on the city's Facebook page, a recording of which was obtained by the News Journal through a public records request. Unfair to many good Republicans rightfully cherish their traditional Republican values. 25 signatures are needed to appear on the ballot to represent one of the city's 6 wards on the commission, and 50 are needed to represent the city at large. The unpaid members are tasked with reviewing the city's charter every 4 years. Proposals to amend or change the charter are then sent to City Council for approval. Spahn, who is not a member of the commission but was asked to review signature requirements for other cities that have charters and present his findings, said there are no major issues before the commission this year. In theory, the Charter Review Commission plays an extremely important role in city government, he said. If there is some major issues out there, it could very well be that if a majority of Democrats are on the Charter Review Commission, they have the authority to present that issue to City Council for approval to be voted upon by the citizens. I normally say that Republicans are so crazy with their support of Trump, it drives me nuts. I could probably say that of all the presidents that I have ever experienced. I have such utter disdain for Republican Trump that I can't put it in words. I've got no sympathy for Republicans, Trumpsters, and the alt-right. A hypothetical example. The law director then provided a lengthy hypothetical example to members of the commission, expanding on his own sentiments. During this present time, where we have a moral obligation to try to improve the lives of all of our citizens, particularly our Black and Brown citizens, as it relates to law enforcement, we have a present procedure where if a complaint is brought by a citizen, the investigation is done by the police department, Spahn said. So, you have an issue of a police department investigating themselves between good, better, and best. I'm not sure that's the best route to go. The Police Review and Community Police Relations Commission, created by City Council in 2003, reviews completed investigations conducted by the police department that were prompted by a citizen complaint. Hypothetically, maybe it should be the law director being in charge of that investigation because the law director is independent, Spahn said. Spahn said he's proud of the Mansfield Division of Police, calling it an outstanding department where 99% of officers are great, and he describes Chief Keith Porch as an honest, fine person. But assume hypothetically down the road we had a corrupt chief of police that didn't care whether or not the officers were acting like Gestapo members, and then they're doing their own investigations, he said. That goes against my belief of an independent investigation. I don't believe you can investigate yourself. Terry Marlowe, 3rd Ward representative of the commission and member of the Complaint Review Board, told Spahn the panel can pose questions to police officers who were involved in conducting an investigation into a complaint. We review the whole thing, she said, and then we have to vote if we agree with the outcome. If we don't, then there's more work to be done. Not invested in being fair. Spahn went on to say that if the signature requirement for the Charter Review Commission was lowered, that type of issue would probably never pass if we had a majority of Republicans on the Charter Review Commission. A lot of them are not invested in being fair to all members of our community, particularly African Americans and Brown Americans. They would never present that issue before the citizens. Even though this year we don't have any major issues, down the road there could be major issues. If you only require 15 signatures, who knows? The Republicans get involved. Spahn, in his letter of apology, said his comments were not planned, impromptu, and not intended to offend or cause harm to citizens. In accordance with the same, I publicly apologize to Marilyn John, chairwoman of the Republican Party, and all Republican, Democrat, and Independent citizens, he wrote. My statements were unequivocally inappropriate and unfair, for which I profoundly regret and sincerely apologize. John issued a statement on behalf of the Richland County Republican Party on Wednesday, calling Spahn's comments an obvious attempt to spread dissension, hate, and falsehoods. During such a time as this, when we are consumed with fear, social hardship, and racial unrest, it is utterly disgraceful for a local elected official to go on record in a public meeting and attack members of the opposing party by inferring Republicans are racist, she wrote. The requirement unchanged. Larry Wyrick, chair of the Richland County Democratic Party, said Spahn's statement speaks for itself when asked for comment. The Charter Review Board ultimately left the signature requirement as is. I think it does speak to the desire to be on the commission, said John Precup of the 6th Ward. It wasn't overtaxing to get 25 signatures for me. Vanita Shoulders of the 1st Ward echoed Precup's comments. Living in the ward that I'm in, there are more R's than D's, but I was still able to find enough without too much hassle in terms of getting the numbers that I needed, she said. Well, this next article is titled Donations Sought to Fix Crack in Great American Crossroads Mural by Jerry Goebel. In Bucyrus, a costly crack in one of the city's downtown murals has a local nonprofit seeking contributions to pay for repairs. Projects, Inc. owns and maintains the Great American Crossroads and Liberty Remembers Our Veterans murals and Millennial Park, including the fountain. Members of the group noticed a small crack in the Crossroads mural in 2019 and have been monitoring it since then. President Mike Hoffman said, "More pieces of mortar fall out of it all the time," he said. "It's pretty obvious when you look at the mural. You can see the crack starting from the top and going all the way across," Hoffman said. "There's some cracking at the mortar joints, so the pieces of mortar actually fell out of some of those areas. That makes it even more obvious about the crack. We just need to take care of it and get it repaired before it gets really bad and could cost a lot of money." The crack started at the top of the wall to the right of the center, above the 2000 date in the arch, then crosses over to the center of the mural, passing between the newspaper reader and the little boy. The mural was painted by artist Eric Groh in 1999. The repair is expected to cost around $17,200, according to a Projects Inc. news release. That will include the masonry repair, repainting once the masonry work is finished, and rental of a lift to complete both jobs. An endowment fund at the Community Foundation for Crawford County provides enough money to cover insurance, small upkeep, and repairs, but nothing major like this crack. The group is seeking community support to cover repairs. It's about city and county pride of what we have here in town. It's about giving to the community, and the rewards will pay off for everybody involved, Hoffman said. We want to keep it looking nice and keep it in repair and keep people coming back to look. So any amount collected over what's needed will be used for other expenses such as IRS filing fees, accounting charges, and insurance coverage, according to the news release. A local mason who does brick and block work will repair the crack, and then an artist will touch up the mural, Hoffman said. What she'll probably have to do is repaint the joint and feather everything back in so that it's not obvious, he said. With the age of that building, I believe that we'll have to do repairs once in a while because maybe the foundation isn't as sound as a newer building would be, Hoffman said. And I would assume that over the years, the settling of the foundation and the age of the building and possibly water damage in different areas over the years is going to cause some cracks now and then that we'll have to keep repairing as we go along. Mortar repairs are expected to start in early August. Anyone who wishes to make a tax-deductible donation can send a check payable to Projects, Inc. to the Community Foundation for Crawford County, 254 East Mansfield Street, Bucyrus. Well, this next article is titled Longtime Crestline Band Director Rob Glaze Dies by Jerry Goebel. In Crestline, longtime Crestline band director Rob Glaze has died after collapsing at home Wednesday of an apparent pulmonary embolism, said his wife, Kathleen Glaze. Wednesday was her birthday, she said. He was apparently preparing a special dinner for her when he collapsed. He was very proud to work at Crestline, she said. He'd worked there for 15 years. He was involved in all kinds of committees. Currently, he was the union president going through negotiations. He was very passionate about his students succeeding, and on the Facebook posts that students have been leaving, you can see it's reflected. They adored him, and he would often tell me stories about how he wanted his students to succeed and how he would try to do his best to help them to succeed. He would do whatever he could to help them out. Superintendent Matt Henderson said Glaze served as band director, music teacher, and Crestline Teachers Association president. Henderson, who joined the district as superintendent a year ago, said he had only known Glaze a short time. He was a very respected member of our staff, very gracious in his working with me as a superintendent in his role as the Teachers Association president, Henderson said. He's just an outstanding member of our school community, and his loss is impacting a lot of people. The people that he works with, the students that he worked with, were shocked and deeply saddened by this. Julie Murphy, Crestline Elementary School principal, said Glaze served as band director throughout his tenure at the district. More recently, he has taken on roles as elementary music teacher, she said. He has middle school band, high school band, and lots of general music classes over the years. So he basically built the foundation for our students musically. He also directed elementary school musicals, she said, giving all those kids a chance to perform. Rob loved the kids, would do anything for students, Murphy said. He had the most amazing sense of humor. He was extremely dedicated to Crestline and was involved in many leadership roles over the year. Glaze lived in Medina and drove to Crestline each day, commuting an hour and 10 minutes each way, Kathleen Glaze said. With his commitments to the band, the union, and other activities, many times he'd be gone from 5 a.m. till midnight. Despite living so far away, he was very enthusiastic about the community, the school, and the students, even his fellow teachers, she said. He always wanted success for them. Murphy said Glaze was a team player who was always there for his coworkers, especially new employees. It's a shock and a great loss for us, Murphy said. He was very knowledgeable, very patient, and a leader in our district for a long, long time. He was a very logical person. I could ask Rob anything. He was very smart. He could word things so beautifully. He had a way with words that was just phenomenal, Kathleen Glaze said. That's why he was the union president. Her husband always remained calm and unflustered, she said. Nothing seemed to get under his nerves. He was very level-headed. In his Facebook message, Henderson said he will pass along details about funeral arrangements when they become available. I'm thinking of all of you and wishing you peace and strength in this difficult time, he said. Well, this next article is titled Animal Cruelty Case Dismissed by Mark Cottle. In Shelby, authorities have dismissed an animal cruelty charge against a Shelby man. Brian Smith of 78 Auburn Avenue has been charged with the first-degree misdemeanor in connection with the death of Dexter, a Doberman who had reportedly starved to death. A necropsy was done in the case. They had gotten a statement from a vet, said Linda Chambers, executive director of the Humane Society of Richland County. There was some sort of abdominal obstruction. It was determined that there was no evidence that supported that this was intentional. My guess is that the dog just wasn't eating. Chambers heard from Shelby Law Director Gordon Eister on the resolution of the case. Mr. Eister had statements from other vets that Brian had tried to figure out what was going on with Dexter, she said. Eister did not return a call from the News Journal. A concerned citizen had reached out to the Humane Society to investigate the case. We gave all the information we had. We can't speculate, Chambers said. We felt there was enough for it to be looked into. The Humane Society started its investigation in late March, and Smith was charged in June. It's heartbreaking because the dog has already passed away, Chambers said. I don't know that there is a silver lining. My next article, titled Nickel and Bean to Unveil the Village Boardroom by Monroe Trombley, in Lexington. For the past year, a rope hung across the bottom step of the staircase that led to Nickel and Bean's second floor, accompanied by a sign that read, "Still Brewing." Now the team behind the Lexington coffee shop is gearing up to reveal what's been on the burner. As soon as the fire department gives us the okay, which could be any day, we're ready to at least start having safe private events, said Stephen Webster, who co-owns Nickel and Bean with his sister Stacy Elcoury. On a recent Tuesday, the duo sat on green leather stools in what's being called the Village Boardroom, a nod to Lexington and the many purposes the addition will serve, like being a quiet place to work away from home, play board games, or throw birthday parties and bridal showers. On weekdays, the second floor area that overlooks Main Street will be limited to members who will have a copier, printer, and office supplies at their disposal. As the day wears on, it will transition into a lounge for ages 12 and up. The board games will come later after the coronavirus pandemic. For now, they sit on reclaimed wooden shelves, wood that came from the building's old floors. With the new school being built, we're like 3 or 4 blocks away, Webster said. We'd love to attract that younger crowd in the early afternoon to be a community hangout. Get off your phones. Come up here and actually engage, talk with your friends, and do something interactive, Elcoury added. Nickel and Bean is housed in a building that was built in 1843. The year-and-a-half project of making it structurally sound proved to be a huge undertaking, one that led to many sleepless nights and even nightmares of the structure collapsing into the street. I literally could not share these photos from the contractor to him, Elcoury said, referring to her brother. Webster, a former Lexington resident and endodontist in the Columbus area, remembers the first time he walked upstairs, marveling at the rafters, exposed brick, and old flooring. This is honestly what sold us, he said. On Tuesday, the coffee shop celebrated its first birthday, despite the challenges wrought by the pandemic. Most of the staff wore party hats, balloons were everywhere, and birthday cookies with rainbow sprinkles were being handed out. The initial plan was to open the Village Boardroom in April, but that was before non-essential businesses were closed by Governor Mike DeWine to limit the spread of the coronavirus. Nikki Wong, who oversees day-to-day operations, said there was an outpouring of support while the building was shuttered to foot traffic. Still, being that Nickel and Bean hadn't yet turned a year old, the team questioned whether it was worth staying open. But within a couple weeks, it became evident that many people were going out of their way to support the shop. I will never forget that. People were making 2 or 3 trips a day, Wong said. Despite the initial hesitation of installing a drive-up window, it proved especially valuable during the last few months. Elcoury said a mother had recently told her that the shop's employees had been her therapists, one aspect of life that lent normalcy. During an interview, Elcoury, Webster, and Wong all expressed gratitude toward customers and their employees, most of whom continued to work throughout the closure, including one of the bakers, Tiffany Zellner. That team we owe a lot to, Webster said. Between the building, almost crumbling, and then the world crumbling around it, Nickel and Bean is going to survive, he said with a laugh. This building has been here 175 years, and we want it to be here for another 175. Well, let's move on to local news briefs. KACY hosting a free summer day camp. In Mansfield, KACY Casey is hosting a free community summer day camp open to youth ages 5 to 12, featuring art, physical activities, and demonstrations. Each participant will get a free t-shirt and lunch is provided. There are 3 locations for the summer day camp, and registration is limited to the first 48 youths at each location. Physical distancing will take place and masks will also be available. Participants can select one of the following locations: South Park at 100 Brinkerhoff Avenue from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. July 22nd through August 19th. Longview Center, 1495 West Longview Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., July 27th through August 19th. Or Hedges, 176 Hedges Street, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., July 27th through August 19th. All day camps will be held on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, weather permitting, and registration is due by July 15th. Staying Healthy program providing free meals for seniors. Columbus. The Ohio Department of Aging has announced a new partnership with local area agencies on aging and restaurants throughout Ohio to provide free meals to older Ohioans who are unable to prepare meals and lack meal support at home or in their communities. The department developed the Staying Healthy program with funding from the Federal Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security, or the CARES Act. Local restaurants participating in the program receive reimbursement from these funds for the meals they provide to eligible participants. The short-term program is designed to serve older adults with the greatest economic and social need. It places special emphasis on low-income older adults. It also focuses on older Ohioans living in rural areas, those with severe disabilities, those with limited English speaking abilities, and those with Alzheimer's disease or related disorders. Participating restaurants must have 50 or fewer employees, be able to produce meals that meet industry standard nutritional guidelines, and deliver meals to participants, either directly or through community partners. Meals may be hot, cold, or frozen entrees and are available for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. For more information about the Staying Healthy program or nutrition services for older adults, contact the Ohio District 5 Area Agency on Aging at 800-860-5799. Police calls. On the 100 block of West 3rd Street, a 46-year-old woman told police Wednesday night that a 32-year-old man had been stalking her. The woman said he tried to follow her into her apartment before she shut the door. The man fled after he forced the door open, damaging it, she said. 300 block of 3rd Avenue. An 18-year-old woman told police Wednesday morning that 3 of her car's tires had been punctured. On the 800 block of West 3rd Street, a 29-year-old woman accused her boyfriend Wednesday of spraying pepper spray on her door. On the 100 block of Penn Avenue, a 27-year-old woman awoke Wednesday morning to find another woman standing beside her bed holding a tire iron. The woman told police that she blocked the iron with her arm when the 26-year-old woman swung it. She was hit in the arm again while running, according to a preliminary report, and pushed out of the house by family members. The woman told police that the younger woman had entered the house through a window and thrown rocks through 2 more. The report did not describe the relation, if any, between the 2 women. Charges will be forwarded to the prosecutor's office. Well, my friends, this concludes the reading of the Mansfield News Journal for Friday, July 10th. I apologize for the ding from my phone. Please stay safe if you can and be safe. This is Pam saying be blessed and you make it a great day.